So Disney Channel's The Owl House is off to an incredible start. At the time of me writing this script, there are only 9 episodes out, and I can already tell that this show is going to be one of the next big cartoons for this decade. So do yourselves a favor, and if you haven't already, hop aboard. And since Steven Universe is ending later this month, you'll need something else to watch anyway. I'm planning on doing an initial thoughts and impressions video on The Owl House after 10 episodes have aired, since that will give me a better look at the show as a whole, rather than just doing reviews on an episode-by-episode basis. But one thing I could not wait to talk about, and hence this video, is the character of Amity Blight. I've thoroughly enjoyed the entire main cast that has been introduced in the show thus far, but the one that's been growing on me and quickly becoming my favorite is Amity. Spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the show yet, but seriously, you should watch it, and there's only like 9 episodes out right now, so come on. This is a video essay, How to Write a Bully, a look at Amity Blight. Amity Blight is introduced in episode 3, I Was a Teenage Abomination. And this episode perfectly sets up Amity's potential as a character, mainly because this episode shows how cold, awful, mean, and condescending Amity can truly be. And it's absolute perfection.
Wow, you're so unnoticeable I almost rolled into you. You don't have anything to show, do you? This is why people call you half a witch Willow. It's like mine, but much smaller and meaningless. As top student, it's my duty to tell you to keep at it. Even you could get a passing grade someday.
And I know it sounds weird saying that Amity being a bully to Willow is perfection, but in terms of writing a character arc, this is the perfect place to start. Us as the viewer are not supposed to like or sympathize with Amity in this episode. And that's great, because this means our expectations of Amity are set as the bully character. However, even though she is the bully, we do see some glimpses of other characteristics of Amity. She's the top student at Hexside, so she's studious, a hard worker, and expects other students to do the same. So not cheat like Willow and Luce. And when you look at her character from that perspective, she's not that bad. She's a dedicated student, albeit one who bullies Willow, seemed okay with Luce almost getting dissected, and went a bit overboard trying to get her badge back. But in episode 5, Convention, we really see how important, passionate, and dedicated Amity is to her studies, and we also get that first crack in the walls that she has built up. And I'll also just say this now, Convention itself is a fantastic episode on its own. We get some world building elements with covens and how they work, an introduction of a new character, Lilith, Ida's sister, and get the plotline of Lilith retrieving Ida for the Emperor's Coven set in motion. I feel like it would be a disservice to not mention those things in this episode, and also, did you see this smooth animation? Seriously. But back to the topic at hand, Amity. In Convention, we see that she is attending to see the Emperor's Coven, an elite group of witches that have access to all forms of magic. When introducing the Emperor's Coven, Principal Bump gestures to Amity when he mentions the possibility of current Hexside students joining. And for the first time in the show, we see Amity's face light up with glee, showing that she is truly passionate about joining the Emperor's Coven one day. Fast forward to Luce bumping into Amity, literally. Amity, as to be expected, is not thrilled to see Luce at the convention, and we see the familiar bullying behavior that we saw in episode 3. Now, I am not going to defend Amity's actions, but she does mention that the reasons she is being mean to Luce is because Luce got her in trouble at school, which has never happened before, and that Luce gives witches a bad name. And here is where we can see what Amity values: hard work. Considering that she has never gotten in trouble with school before and her reputation as top student, we can definitely tell that Amity is dedicated to her goals. And since Amity has worked so hard, seeing Luce, a human, walk into the boiling aisles and look at magic with such a fun and casual attitude irritates her. And again, I'm not defending Amity for her bullying behavior, but from her perspective, she's worked hard for her accomplishments, and within the course of a few days, whether intentional or not, Luce's actions have tarnished that. All of this leads to Amity casting an everlasting oath, where if she defeats Luce in a witches duel, Luce must give up learning magic forever. With the witches duel set in place, we get further backstory on Amity and Lilith, as it is revealed that Amity is Lilith's protege. And this further cements the parallels of Amity and Luce to Lilith and Ida. Amity and Lilith being the studious types, while Ida and Luce are the more carefree types. Once the witches' duel starts, it is eventually revealed to the audience that Ida had cheated to let Luce win, although Luce had no intention of cheating. However, it is also revealed that Lilith had placed a power glyph on Amity to increase the strength of her powers. Thus, unbeknownst to Amity, she had been cheating as well. And you could see the immediate reaction of disappointment and embarrassment that Amity feels to have been cheating. Amity hates cheating, even if it benefits her. She wants an equal and level playing field and for hard work and dedication to be what earns accomplishments. Looking back at episode 3, where Willow and Luce cheated to temporarily earn Willow's place as top student, it makes sense why Amity reacted the way she did. It goes against everything Amity believes in, and we see it again here in Convention, although this time around it's not anger fueling Amity, rather it's her own dejection and embarrassment.
You made me look like a fool in front of the Emperor's Coven, my future!
And this is what leads to the first big breakthrough for Amity and Luce.
You think it's so easy to be a witch. I have been working my whole life to get to the top. You lost! You cheated! Say it! Say you're not a witch!
This is the lowest point we have seen Amity. She's been embarrassed at school and the convention in front of the Emperor's Coven, no less. She feels in this moment that everything she's worked so hard for is slipping right through her fingers. When Amity is demanding Luce to admit she's not a witch, it's Amity's desperate attempt to grasp at something to make her feel like she is still valid and superior to Luce. But what Amity probably wasn't expecting was Luce to show her own form of spellcasting.
I'm not a witch. But I'm training hard to be one.
In this moment, Amity acknowledges the hard work and effort Luce is putting into her studies. This is where Amity first gains respect for Luce. And this is also the first crack in the walls Amity has built up. And while Amity does make an initially dismissive comment to Luce casting a light spell, she understands where Luce is coming from and acknowledges that for as hard as she has worked, Luce will have to work even harder to become a witch. Luce is exemplifying everything that Amity values. And because of this, Amity undoes the everlasting oath.
The oath is unbound.
Luce didn't beg or bargain with Amity to undo it. Amity does it on her own volition, acknowledging that nothing would stop Luce from learning magic, similar to how nothing could stop Amity herself.
Humans have no magical ability,
But I doubt that'll stop you.
So obviously this episode was great for Amity's character, but why exactly? In her initial episode, Amity is shown as the bully. As I said before, this sets expectations of Amity as a character. It's her starting point for her arc in the series. And while Amity was mean to both Willow and Luce, there was just enough there to show that there was a little bit more to her character. Because those little glimpses of Amity's work ethic from I Was a Teenage Abomination are further developed in Convention. And we see the potential Amity truly has as a character, her dream to join the Emperor's Coven, how she's considered the protege of Lilith, who is arguably the most powerful witch we have seen in the show so far. We see all of that. But when we see her at her lowest moment, we see how much pressure she is under in her pursuit to be the best. We see the worry on her face about failing and having all of her work be for nothing. On the outside and to others, Amity appears to be the popular top student, but on the inside, she's scared and vulnerable. That's why Convention is such a great follow-up to I Was a Teenage Abomination for Amity. It takes her character from the mean and cold bully to someone who has their own insecurities and one who is capable of understanding and respecting others. Convention gave us this first look at this side of Amity, and it's developed even further in episode 7, Lost in Language. While exploring the library, Luce stumbles upon Amity, though not studying as one would assume. Rather, she's reading a book, Audubon, to a group of kids. And let's just be real here, this is cute. Look at how cute Amity is here. Look at how happy she is with a genuine smile. And she likes doing voices when she reads, and Braxis is the sweetest boy.
Goodbye, Miss Amity. Thank you.
Thank you, Braxis. See you next time.
Yay!
10 out of 10 moment right here. But seriously, this shows an even sweeter and kinder side of Amity. And the book she's reading is all about making friends, which to me symbolizes Amity and Luce's potential friendship. But after noticing Luce, we see in an instant those walls come back up and that icy exterior come back into play. And while Amity claims she's only volunteering at the library for extra credit, come on. We know you're doing this because you genuinely enjoy it, Amity. But compared to previous interactions, Amity doesn't really bully Luce here. Rather, she just tells Luce to stay away from her since bad things seem to happen whenever Luce is around. And again, it's not intentional on Luce's part, but Amity has had a streak of bad luck since Luce has entered the picture. So you really can't blame her for wanting her space. Though it may seem odd that I consider this a step in the right direction, Amity doesn't make any cruel comments, but rather just asserts she wants her space. Now, there's a little moment here that I haven't seen anyone else point out, and who knows, I may be reading too much into this, but as Luce walks away apologizing, we see this small gesture from Amity. She brings her hand up for a moment as if she's about to reach out and stop Luce from walking away. And again, I may be reading too much into it, but I think this shows a lot of growth on Amity's part. Since the events in Convention and gaining respect for Luce, there's something there that's caused Amity to develop somewhat of an interest. Enter these two, Emira and Edric, Amity's older twin siblings. Now initially, these two seem like they are your typical older siblings, teasing and embarrassing Amity by calling her Mittens and bringing her a homemade lunch from their mother in the cutest lunch bag. It's harmless fun siblings often have with each other. And honestly, at first, Emira and Edric seem like nice people, even telling Amity to stop being a jerk to Luce and welcoming Luce to spend the day with them. But it's from here that we see the twins have a far more mischievous side than just teasing Amity. The twins, along with Luce, spend the day pulling pranks in the library, eventually getting themselves kicked out by Amity and the library staff. You would think that Luce would realize what she and the twins did was wrong, but understandably, these are the first two students outside of Willow and Gus to take interest in and welcome Luce. Additionally, Luce has the intention of befriending the twins in order to befriend Amity. So with that goal in mind, it's easy for the twins to coerce Luce into breaking into the library later that night. Fast forward to the library and the twins and Luce discover that the Wailing Star has brought the books to life when opened. Shenanigans ensue, but the twins' true goal is revealed when they show Luce a secret hideout in the library located in the romance section. But not just any secret hideout, Amity's secret hideout. Now, it's worth noting that the book that opened the door to the hideout was titled The Lone Witch and the Secret Room, so this seems pretty clear that Amity herself feels lonely. The twins then reveal that they are looking for Amity's diary to post around the school as payback for tattling on them when they cut class. Now, we clearly see from their introductions the twins like to tease Amity, and that's to be expected with any siblings. But seeing as how far they are willing to go to get back at Amity, we can assume that more devious teasing and pranks have been dealt with back at the Blight Manor. And this can offer even further insight into Amity. If her home life is just her getting teased and bullied by Emira and Edric, then it's not really surprising Amity lashes out at others. Hurt people hurt people. Also, given the actions of the twins that we see in this episode, I'd venture to guess that they are one of, if not the reason that Amity has a secret hideout in the first place. I'm sure we'll get even more episodes with Emira and Edric in the future because I see the show bringing us to Blight Manor at some point. But it's clear that these two are selfish and manipulative. Now, to Luce's credit, she does start to see that Emira and Edric aren't as cool as she initially thought, telling them that posting Amity's diary in the school is going too far and puts minimal effort into searching for it. However, Luce takes notice of the Good Witch Azura books that Amity has lined on her shelves, so beyond their interactions at the convention, this is another similarity for Luce and Amity. Luce finds a book hidden among the Good Witch Azura series, one that has a hand-drawn cover. On it, a girl who looks like Amity, wearing an outfit based on Azura. This is Amity's diary. Now I want to point out that back in episode 6, there's a portrait of a girl in Amity's room that looks to have a similar haircut to Amity. So this is most likely a portrait of her when she was younger. However, her hair is brown, and we can see that current Amity has brown roots growing in. And we also see that her green hair is not the same shade as Emira and Edric's, and much closer to Azura's. So yeah, I'm hopping on the Amity dyed her hair to match Azura's theory train. And really, this just adds to Amity's character development. especially since it's not something that's flat out stated in the show. There's been just enough shown to convey this aspect about Amity without just spelling it out, and that's something that I absolutely love. Also, in episode 2, which is before Wizards, Luce is talking about what kind of witch she'll be and says this when talking about her Good Witch Azura books.
Or should I be like a bad girl chosen one with black nail polish and a mysteriously withdrawn attitude? I act like I don't care, but I secretly do.
And this pretty much describes Amity to a T. And I believe this really solidifies the point that Amity is not a bad person. She is genuinely kind, nice, and wants to do the right thing, but has an icy exterior due to her current circumstances. But back to the diary. Luce opens it, and because of the magic of the Wailing Star, the diary entries come to life. And these entries are pure gold in terms of character development. Now, some of these are more important than others, such as the first one.
I saw that human girl again. The diary. I may have overreacted. I don't want to come off as cruel, I just can't show weakness.
This diary entry clearly shows Amity is capable of self-reflection, and she does feel some remorse for her actions. The twins eventually get the diary from Luce, and another entry is shown.
It's not fair. I'm the only one who knows Ed and Em aren't perfect. Why do they keep getting away with things?
Now, considering that Emera and Edric are doing this because Amity gets them in trouble for cutting class, I'd venture to guess that this entry may have been written before Amity started tattling on them. That, or they are able to get away with things back at home, much to the dismay of Amity. Luce protests that even though Amity can be cold, no one deserves to have their privacy violated. A brief fight over the diary ensues where some of the pages fall out and more entries are read.
I wish I had somewhere to go. Why won't the human leave me alone? Called my teacher Mom again. Sorry I haven't written for a while. Wait, why am I apologizing?
Now, some of these carry more weight than others, such as the one where Amity wishes she had somewhere to go. This could be something she wrote before she made her hideout, or Amity just feels lonely in general. The other entries show a more comedic side of Amity, questioning why Luce won't leave her alone, admitting that she called her teacher Mom again, and I mean, come on, that's something I feel many of us are guilty of doing, myself included, in the 2nd grade. And then there's one of her apologizing to her diary for not writing when she has nothing to apologize for in the first place. And while this may be played as a joke, it could also show that Amity constantly feels guilt if she feels she's slacking on her day-to-day activities. And given her work ethic that we have seen in the show thus far, that's definitely a possibility. Luce tries to gather the pages on the floor but is discovered by an angry and embarrassed Amity. Emera and Edric just laugh while Amity declares that they are the worst, and yeah, that seems about right. But the change in tone in her voice and expression on her face when she addresses Luce isn't of anger, but rather disappointment. Amity expected better of Luce. She doesn't see Luce as a bad person and has at least some interest in getting to know Luce better. However, if we look at the events of the show from Amity's perspective, Amity claiming Luce is a bully does make sense from her point of view. As I said before, bad things happen to Amity when Luce is around. I'm not saying that Amity is right about Luce being a bully. Luce never intended to hurt Amity. Rather, it's been a series of inconveniences that has led to Amity getting the short end of the stick recently. I also can't really blame Amity for calling Luce a bully in this particular moment, considering that she is with Emera and Edric, who appear to do nothing but bully Amity. Again, I'm not saying that Amity is right in calling Luce a bully, but it does make sense why she would. And this is another great moment for Amity's character. The bully is being bullied. And based on this expression here, I would guess that maybe Amity is having her own thoughts on how she has acted in the past and how it affects other people. Because in this moment, Amity looks sad and disappointed in Luce, and perhaps Amity feels like she's looking in a mirror. Amity acknowledged in her diary she can be cruel, so looking at Luce, someone she just accused of being a bully, with sadness and disappointment might also be how Amity is feeling about herself in this moment. Luce goes to try and explain herself to Amity, but is interrupted by an altered Audubon from a doodle Edric drew. Audubon takes Amity and tries to bind her to a book so he can have a friend forever. Enter Lazura, who tries to save Amity and fails immediately. But Luce is able to knock the book over and make an escape with Amity. And it's here we get another crack in the walls that Amity has built up.
Now what? I don't know. I didn't even think that would work. I was all like, "Rah!"
This is the first time Amity has genuinely laughed. Like seriously, these two are in immediate danger, but Luce is just such a likable dork that Amity can't help but laugh. So looking at their moment from convention to now, not only is there a mutual respect between the two, but now Amity is letting her guard down to actually laugh for once. Thanks to Amity's quick thinking, she is able to save Luce, and the two are able to erase the altered picture of Audubon to return him to his normal self. And if this episode didn't have enough cute Amity moments, we have this one right here with Audubon. While not openly stated, Audubon seems to be an important book to Amity, as she said she's read the book since she was a kid, and was also the book she chose to read to the kids in the beginning of this episode. When Audubon apologizes for his actions, Amity reassures him by saying that they are still friends. Considering that Amity is shown to be lonely, books are likely a source of emotional attachment for her, such as Audubon and most likely Azura as well. Since Amity seems to have a hard time making friends in real life, fiction and books seem to be something that gives her a sense of belonging and being accepted. Cut to Luce and Amity exiting the library, and as quickly as it looked like Amity and Luce were gonna start a meaningful friendship, the iciness of Amity comes back, claiming that the entire night never happened. However, Luce offers her the 5th book in the Azura series, since Luce noticed that Amity was missing it. Fittingly, this book is the one where Azura befriends her rival. And to close out the episode, we get another big breakthrough for Luce and Amity.
Thank you. Maybe you aren't a bully. I haven't exactly been the friendliest witch either. I'll think on that.
So why do I love Amity as a character so much? First and foremost, I am beyond happy that the Owl House isn't doing what so many other shows do and drag out their bully's character arc. I feel that for a season or two, or maybe even the entire series of a show, has the bully stay in their mean ways. And then by the end of their arc, they just aren't the bully anymore, and then there's nothing beyond that. It's really sad to see so many shows fall into this trope of character development for a bully character to just not be mean in the end. This is why I like Amity's character so much, because we're 9 episodes in and she's already near that point of no longer being the bully, meaning that we have so much more to look forward to in terms of her growth. Plus, the show has already dropped many interesting plot points revolving around Amity. How did Amity and Willow become friends? Why did they stop being friends? Who are Amity's parents? How did Amity come under the tutelage of Lilith? These are all things that are going to be explored in the show, which is far more interesting than a simple bully character arc. Outside of the potential plot points for Amity's growth, I also like how her arc has been written so far, since each episode she has appeared in has built off of the most recently discovered traits of Amity. In her first episode, we see her as a bully to Willow and a snobby student, but someone who is genuinely passionate, dedicated, and works hard in school. This is developed in Convention when we get to see Amity's life goal of joining the Emperor's Coven. But it's revealed that in that pursuit, Amity is put under tremendous stress. We also get our first glimpse seeing that Amity isn't as bad as she puts on, respecting Luce's work ethic as a human learning magic and undoes the everlasting oath. This connection with Luce is then developed further in Lost in Language, where the two realize that they may have more in common than they think. Additionally, we get even more insight into Amity's character when it comes to her insecurities, self-worth, and loneliness, showing that there is far more to Amity than meets the eye, and that she is a complicated and layered character. With the way that Lost in Language ended, I am beyond excited to see what will happen with Luce and Amity's next interaction. Considering that Amity has already grown so much, I'm hoping that she has officially turned the page to start a new chapter of her life where she is hopefully able to let her walls down and get that friendship and sense of belonging that she has certainly been lacking for so much of her life.